Good evening. My name is Ray Dwyer, and this is Dr. Joe Dispenza's Meditation and Book Discussion Group. Tonight, we're discussing Becoming Supernatural, Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. Chapter 6 is a few case studies, and Chapter 7 is titled Heart Intelligence. In Chapter 6, we're introduced to the idea that the purpose of these case studies is to help you become aware of the possibilities and that this is a human thing. People with all kind of different problems, all kind of different lives, some of them severely hurting, and they find their way into the kingdom one way or the other. First case study is a lady named Jenny. Uh, she was in a highway accident. She was hit from behind and slammed into the car in front of her. Got double impact and had massive pains in her back and legs. She was on all kind of drugs for pain control, steroids, you name it. It was somewhere around 2 years when her husband was just looking for something and he came across the book, You Are the Placebo. An amazing book. I hope if you haven't gone through it, I discussed breaking the habit in springtime and You're the Placebo in summer. And then in autumns, I do the supernatural. So maybe next year, if you haven't gone through it with me, you will. So Jenny, during the second meditation at breakfast, this is her first, I think it says the first time in a conference, things really shifted. Jenny decided to surrender and leave all her judgments behind. She let it go. This is on page 145. I told the participants to focus on 2, 3 negative emotions or limited aspects of the personality, and I asked them to move all that stored energy from the first 3 centers up their spine and out their brain and let go. First, Jenny chose to work with her anger. Move that anchors of anger out of you. Then she picked up the pain and moved those anchors of those pains out of her. And in that vastness of space, it all went away. Jenny got beyond her body, her environment, and time. Those 3 energy centers, she pulled them up. That's why somebody says, which meditation should I do first? If you're new to this kind of work, doing Dr. Joe's, I say go to those blessings of the energy centers meditations and learn to put attention on them and move those energies up and out. They are like foundational to learning how to get the healings. Jenny got beyond her body, her environment, and time. Her consciousness had connected to the consciousness of the infinite, unified field. She had found the sweet spot of the generous present moment, and her autonomic nervous system stepped in and did the healing for her. She just get out of the way, and her body did what it wants to do, and that's heal. It's there, but our whole society is teaching us to interfere with it. All this stress and toxins and holding on to grievances and holding on to accusations and injustices, all of that prevents you from being fully healed. You got to learn to just let go. I never say you don't seek justice for a crime committed to you. That's not what I said. I said, don't hold it in your heart. Let your heart have peace. I don't say go to somebody who offended you and, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't say that. That will only make it worse. This is not about anybody else. This is about this. Let your heart go. Find the peace in your heart by learning to love and release. The next conversation was about a guy about his name is Daniel. He was a young Israeli entrepreneur, and he's in his office and he's having a day on his telephone, and he's yelling at stuff, and he's having one of those over stressed out days that he always had. That's how he worked, how he lived. And his head went pop. And from then on, he couldn't work. He had headaches for every time he got anywhere near a computer or electromagnetic signal, he just ached. They diagnosed him with something called electromagnetic hypersensitivity. I don't know if that's real or not, but that's what they gave him. And anytime he got near any computer, telephone, Wi-Fi, anything, his head hurt. Crazy. Not literally, but like that's just a wild thing. How do you live in today's modern society with that kind of symptom? Well, he discovered you were the placebo. And he went, this sounds a little bit like me. And he started practicing the meditations. He started practicing releasing those changes that they talk about in the placebo book. And he started going, this sounds a lot like me. And he really started tuning in to his inner self. And he started realizing that his headaches were easing off. And he slowly worked his way back and just released whatever it was holding him. The story doesn't really say a particular thing he could point to and says that was it. But he worked on it and he released it and released it and released it until he was back to working hard and making money. Actually, he was working a lot less hard. He says he was working only an hour and a half a day, making more money than he used to when he was screaming on the telephone. That's pretty cool. The next story is about Jennifer. And once again, the hardest thing was that I felt like a terrible mother. She was so sick she couldn't take care of her kids. They found you are the placebo. And they started saying change, started releasing these things that we chronically hold on to. Shuts down our heart, makes our heart incoherent, chaotic. Uh, it's not flowing gently. It's just, I remember the first night I couldn't hardly make it up the stairs to the room. She went to the conference and she was having a hard time just going to the night's hotel room. When she did her meditations, Jennifer really gave it her all. She repeatedly tuned in to the potential of health and felt an abundance of energy through her body. When you truly surrender, it's not something, it's hard to talk about. I mentioned my surrender in my big healing meditation, but I always wonder how can people have any clue or what my experience was? It's like me trying to tell you a color when you're colorblind or something. You know my words, you know what I'm saying, but this is experiential. You got to do it. The words define it well, but you don't know the depths of the heart tear that experience really is. I mean, I just thought I was my time was up. Go ahead, take me, take me, divine. It's just I've had enough of this, and I thought I was being taken away. Like, okay, that's total surrender when you just go, okay, I die here tonight. You have me. But I was kind of an extreme nightmare back then, so that type of intensity was just who I am. I'm still a pretty intense person, but not that way. And now she says, now I eat normal food, and I haven't used my asthma medication since 2015. So she gave it up, and all that pain of the accident, the trauma of the back and forth inside that accident just healed. Then, isn't that cool? It wasn't, it just, Wow. Some people get a healing where it starts and daily they see it go away. Some people, they get off the floor different. I was one of those. Felicia, overcome eczema. Eczema is that skin virus or something that just itches and makes sores, and it's not something you can really point to because it's all over the body. It's an internal autoimmune disease or something. And she's a doctor, and she's been treating patients for all her life. She's a professional, and she can't heal herself. There's a there's a sarcastic expression that I use sometimes. Doctor, heal yourself. You ever go to a doctor, then he looks sicker than you do? I have. So he walks in the door, is like, oh my God, this guy's supposed to tell me how to be healthy. Holy cow. I feel like saying, give me another doctor, but then it'd only make things worse. On the bottom of 51, it says, but to her great disappointment, all the United Kingdom medical indemnity bodies refused to insure. She couldn't do anything through the medical treatment because in the United Kingdom, they didn't have an insurance coverage for it. So she was a doctor, and the treatment that she wanted was costing her too much out of, out of her pocket. So she didn't. So she had to find something else. So she started meditating. She found Dr. Jones, started meditating. And on the first day of the advanced workshop, she did the breathing technique. And Felicia decided not to hold back and completely surrender the process. That's it. When you go in, it's an all, look at this. You've been doing this to yourself for years. It's not going to give up just because, okay, I want to do this. It's not like you just picked a different item on the end menu. You've got to choose deeply and commit deeply. How much do you want it? Are you willing to just so deeply commit? I know that sounds almost like just a cliche, but did you hear what these people said? And to completely surrender to the process. And it says, I noticed my breathing began to hasten. She didn't change her breathing consciously. She's just going with the meditation, following Dr. Joe, and her body started responding. An overwhelming energy started building in my throat. She's just in for the ride, and she's noticing something is affecting her body. Well, she wasn't completely released that day, but she got a good warm up. The following day, in the last meditation of that next day, she got selected and was fitted with an EEG what's that thing called? Let's see if I can find it. That brain mapping equipment. And being a doctor, she just took this on as a challenge. And it says here, quotes, what if I could demonstrate to the skeptic as well as to believers how unlimited we all really are? See, in that sentence, there's a hidden power. When she did it the other day, she was doing it for herself. And how many of us find it hard to do things for yourself? This day, she says, what if I could demonstrate to them? What if I put on a mission, a purpose greater than me? I've got this opportunity. What if I could do something greater than me? And that's what she did. Her body was persistently defiant, but after repeatedly overcoming her internal struggle, her body eventually surrendered. She let go. Then it says, what I experienced on the other side was an exhilarating explosion of energy in my brain and and an instantaneous connection with a loving consciousness within all around me. It was an absolute knowing, a recognition of pure love. And with it came the most overwhelming emotion of joy that I've ever experienced in my entire life. I get emotional just reading this stuff. It was like coming home. I just experienced this deep oneness, all the while remaining completely aware of my external senses. She didn't go unconscious, but she experienced it. So she got home and she was getting dressed for work. And I looked at my skin and all the rashes that had been there just a few days prior had completely resolved. Boom. She was healed in that moment. And in the few days since, all of those lifetime of eczema and skin rashes and sores gone. Then the last sentence of this chapter, mark my words, if a once jaded, intensely analytical can do it, absolutely anyone can. I wrote a little note on the bottom of this. It says, the question remaining, can you state what the it was or is that she did? Can you think in your heart, mind, I know what it was she did? I hope so. If an intensely analytical doctor can do it, what is that it? If this certified PTSD veteran can lay on the floor all by himself and cry out to the divine and do it, surely, you beautiful people, if I can reach you, if you can hear me, you can do it also. Boy, I got my heart on that one. Let me introduce you to chapter 7, Heart Intelligence. I find that interesting. When I first started this work, I had done meditations before. But as I mentioned before, I always thought it was this visual projection. Like I put a picture on the wall of my mind and I look at it. So when I started doing Dr. Joe's work and he starts talking about heart with intelligence, that was truly new information to me. The new information about the body having these little specialized minds, that's what creates the chakras that people have talked about for thousands of years. Since on page 155, since our human ancestors first began etching their histories upon cave worlds and stone tablets, like a thread through the needle of times, the heart has appeared as a symbol. The Mesopotamians, the Egyptians, the Greeks all knew this. The modern Christian religion shut it down. They taught against it. The modern religion killed people who gave science that says the Earth was not the center of the solar system. It was so dogmatic and unforgiving that Newton had to come up with a scheme that says if it's of the body, it's science. If it's of the mind, it's religion. Because the science had gotten rock solid that there's something here. But Newton didn't want to go the way of Galileo. So he granted at least the mental and the spiritual stuff to religion. And he said, look, the science says the earth goes around the sun. You got it? The church stopped science, put us back probably not an exaggeration to say 1,000 years, 500 years anyway. Where would we be if we had started our modern science 500 years ago during the Renaissance days? But that's another story. Now we're here. Now we are like either the first or the second generation in 2,000 years or more that can publicly speak about us being energy beings without sounding goofy. I'm not saying we're aliens from other planets. I'm saying I am an expression of the divine, and the divine is energy. No, I didn't say that right. The divine's expression is energy, and of that expression, I am energy. That's better. So I take back to saying the divine is energy. I got poked on that one. The expression of the divine is energy, and I am part of that expression. Yeah, there you go. Descartes argued that the mind and body were radically distinct parts. Why? He knew better. I know things about what he studied with the Rosicrucians and other orders that he knew different, but he also knew he didn't want to go the way of Galileo. And so he made that draw. Through scientific inquiry, the heart slowly ceased to be recognized as our connection to feelings and emotions. Isn't that something that science had to give that up to the church, even though they knew better? They made it a mechanical device instead of one that thousands of years they have known it more. We know that the heart, beyond its obvious role in sustaining life, is not simply a muscular pump that moves blood throughout the body, but an organ capable of influencing feelings and emotions. The heart is a sensory organ that guides our decision making ability as well as our understanding. It is a symbol that transcends time, place, and culture. It is a commonly accepted premise that when we are connected to the heart, inner knowing, we can tap into wisdom as a source of love and higher guidance. Man, there's some interesting statements there. First of all, okay, the heart is an organ that pumps. The heart is a sensory organ. Okay, that's a little bit stretching it for me back in those first couple of years. It is a premise that when we connect to the heart's inner knowing, when you first started this work, do we have anybody that's really new here that when you first started hearing about the energy centers, that it surprised you to learn that the heart had a knowing, an intelligence? Man, I was. And a wisdom. As much occult as I had studied, I thought when they talked about heart wisdom, I thought it was all energetic, not physical. It never occurred to me that we are talking about biological, physiological stuff. Physiological micro specialized brains throughout her body. That was big to me. It's just like talking about a paradigm change. Stress, further down, Dr. Joe says, stress is one of the main contributing factors to heart disease. It's reaching an epidemic. Fortunately, there's an antidote. What we found in researching and studying the main factors of heart coherence. Here we go. This is the subject that we're going to talk about today is heart coherence. What does that mean? We'll go into it. Just like developing any skill, voluntarily creating heart coherence requires knowledge, application, and practice. We're going to talk about that, give you the foundation of knowledge, give you a basic idea of how to practice so you can develop the skill. The groundbreaking work of HeartMath Institute, HMI. If you've never heard of them, I didn't before I started this work. Go to YouTube and start scrolling. There's a lot of information. They're open all over the place. A lot of people know about them. They're one of the few businesses that works with Dr. Joe from the beginning and is still part of what he's doing. They're that good. They're that sincere. They're that disciplined. I mean, Dr. Joe has started with a number of people and they've fallen off the edges. HeartMath is rock solid. It's science-based. It's not woo-woo. It's not the other stuff. It is just like Dr. Joe. They back what they do with science and electronics. The foundation of our partnership is built upon the shared belief that in order to create a new future, a person needs to marry a clear intention with an elevated emotion. HMI's research has proven that by combining an intention or thorough, as you read, acts as an electronic charge and feeling an emotion, we can change our biological energy. And when we change our energy, we change our life. This is no longer just a meditation thing. HeartMath Institute has proven it scientifically that when you change your mind and change your heart and get an elevated emotion behind it, you are changing your biology. That is amazing. When I first got my healing, I got up off that floor and I told my wife I had a miracle. That was the word I used. I probably used that word for a couple months and I wondered about it. Just like, who am I to have a miracle? It doesn't make sense. Dr. Joe just does science. And so I had to go back and study. And then I started learning about epigenetics, above genes. And then it's funny how I was so blocked in my thinking that I was reading the book multiple times and not learning it. I had to go back and kind of peel away my biases, my attitudes, my perceptions until I could see what he was saying. And here it is. HeartMath said the same thing. When the mind and the heart connect with a higher enough energy, the body changes to the genetic level. How cool is that? And sometimes that change happens very abruptly. Like that lady with eczema all her life. She had sores and creams. You know how just people put on cosmetics so you don't see all the ugly sores and stuff. She just lived that way. And then she didn't. That abrupt. So cool. This is what happens when you can learn to surrender. Pardon me if I make it sound simple. It's not. It took me a year of earnest, passionate, make it stop. Until one day I made it through. Heart intelligence, which is HMI defines as the flow of awareness and insight that we experience once the mind and emotions are brought into balance and coherence. through a self-initiated process. Self-initiated. You got to do it yourself. Dr. Joe's beautiful worded, sounded with Barry Goldstein's music can lead you to the door. But the final go is you. You got to let it go. It's kind of hard, isn't it? Just sometimes even talking about, I've got to change my heart. And in you is just this, no, 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 no. I've been doing this. I hate this guy. I'm just, got to let go of it. That stuff does not go into the kingdom. And as long as you're like that, there's a good chance you won't heal. Heart coherence begins with a steady, coherent drumbeat of the heart through cultivating, practicing, sustaining elevated emotions. Such emotions include gratitude, appreciation, thankfulness, inspiration, kindness, selfishness, love, joy, all that stuff. You know what those high-end elevation emotions feel like. That is the watering. That is the fertilizer. That is the light in your own being that helps heal. I've mentioned heart coherence a few times. I've mentioned HMI. I'd like to introduce you to a friend. I met her some time ago, and she's helped me as co-host a number of times when I was busy and not all here. She is currently studying HeartMath Institute to be a certified counselor. She's not completely through her program yet, but I know she was there. She's got a heart of gold and a desire to serve. So I asked her, Patrice, would you come and talk to us and tell us all about your experience with uh, HMI?
Sure, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. And I was thinking about this, and one thing I would like to do is kind of bring the simplicity and the beauty that these hard math studies have. So as Wayne said, they are really a research institution that has been focusing on studying the heart, for 30 years and how the heart connects to the brain and how their connection impacts the physiology. So, if I could ask you, point to yourself right now, point to yourself. Where do you point to? You point to your heart, right? So that means how connected we are with the heart, even though we don't have it present through the day. Um, the heart is also connected to the nervous system, to both branches. It's sympathetic and parasympathetic. So when you have an emotion, it's going to affect your physiology. And when you have, a change in your physiology, it's going to change your heart. And basically, what they discover is the relationship between what HeartMath called depleting emotions like anger, frustration, jealousy, and regenerating emotions that are joy, pleasure, wholeness, right? With the heartbeat, but especially with what they call heart rate variability. So when you go to the doctor and they take your pulse, they say 73 beats per minute. That's just an average. In reality, your heart doesn't beat, at the same rhythm constantly. It changes by microseconds, but it changes. So that's what they call heart rate variability. So they realize that when we are under stress, the heart rate variability, you can see that in page 163, right? The first graph at the top is all like this, right? That shows the heart rate variability over time. And what basically means is that when your heart is beating, it's like is breaking and is accelerating. It's breaking and is accelerating. That means the parasympathetic is operating, then the sympathetic, so it's going up and down, and it's not rhythmic as it should be. So you're not coherent. So when you're able to, for your heart to beat like the other graph, goes like this, that means that, you are going through the parasympathetic nervous system, then you go to the sympathetic nervous system, and so forth. That's how they call heart coherence, right? And when your heart is in coherence, because your heart is connected to your brain, and there are many more connections from your brain to your heart, for your brain, for your heart to your brain than for your brain to your heart, that means that your brain gets coherent. You don't need to meditate to achieve heart coherence, right? It can be done by breathing and by feeling the elevated emotions. So the basic technique that is taught at HeartMath, and if you even go to the webpage, they explain it, is you need to breathe slowly with a rhythm that is good for you. And the same time you inhale, let's say you inhale in 5 and you exhale in 5. And you need to do that by focusing on your heart. And initially that sounds very easy, but most people, when they say focus on your heart, they think about the heart, right? So that's something that you need to practice. And maybe if you put your hand on your heart, it helps you focus on your heart. So you focus on your heart, and you breathe in and out of your heart, slowly and deeper than usual. You can count 5 in, 5 out, 3 in, 3 out, whatever works for you. And once you achieve a nice flow, you can start feeling an elevated emotion. Now, when you start feeling that elevated emotion, you might lose your focus on your heart, or you might start thinking, so you go back and you focus on your heart. So there's not a need to meditate. And you can do this through the day. You can do this while you're having a difficult conversation, a difficult situation. But also, it's important that you build your emotional resilience. So if you do this every day, let's say when you get up, and you only did this for 30 seconds, 1 minute, right? And you can do it many times a day, you're going to see that your baseline for getting those energy draining emotions start to diminish, right? Because you start building emotional resilience. And this is what HeartMath is teaching and have realized. There are other techniques that could be a little bit more cumbersome, but basically, if you practice that technique, that basically the new meditations from Joe Dispenza, they start that way, right? He says, breathe slowly in and out of your heart, focusing on your heart, and then bring up an elevated emotion, and then he starts going to the unified field. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but that's basically the main points that I wanted to make. How easy it is, and that the practice of this technique in the everyday life really raises your emotional resilience.
Okay. Patrice, give us a little bit more of a detail of how-tos. I mean, let's say somebody sits in front of you and says, how do you actually do it? What do you tell them?
So what you do is you focus on your heart, and you start breathing in and out of your heart in a breathing pattern, deeply and slower than usually. So you go, and we can all do it together if you want. Actually, at the end of the chapter, he has a meditation, right?
Yeah, he spells one out called a heart coherence one, but I went through my little library of meditations and I didn't have one. That's why I played at the beginning of this a YouTube one.
Right. So, but it's a, we can do it right now. So
Okay.
basically is you focus on your heart and you start breathing in and out of your heart deeply and slower than usual. You can inhale in 5 and exhale in 5 or in 4, whatever works for you. And now bring an elevated emotion. It could be the love that you have for your kids, your parents, your pet, gratitude for whatever event in your life, joy. And you continue breathing, focusing on your heart. And if you can bring that feeling to you, to your whole body, and also radiate it out.
Sweet.
It's
Okay.
as simple as that. And you
Okay.
do this 30 seconds, a minute a day to start.
Sweet. Raise your hand if anybody's got questions or would like to talk to Patrice for a couple moments. Uh, Froza, you were first.
Thank you. Beatrice, you're popular. We have like 4 women.
How are
Raise
you?
your hand. I'm good. How are you doing, Beatrice?
Good, good.
I have a question. I don't
Sure.
understand. You're saying that breathe in from the heart. However,
Guys,
I realize that even before, like I'm breathing in from the heart, I feel like my nose and my head and my lungs. Um, so so I'm not. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but I feel that I cannot normal breathe properly in general.
so,
I'm like, oh, how's my heart breathing properly? How's my
so
heart?
breathe through your nose and imagine that the air is going in and out of your heart.
So I'm breathing out from my mouth.
Breathe, no, breathe in through your nose,
Hmm?
but imagine that the air is coming through your heart. Imagine that it's going through your heart.
Okay. Okay.
You know, be gentle, right? Be gentle with you. Don't force it. Breathe through your nose, but just imagine that the air, instead of going through your nose, is going in through your heart. You can 3, let's say, let's do it together. Inhale through your nose, but imagine that it's going through your heart. 1, 2, 3. And now exhale through your nose, but imagine that you're letting the air out through your heart. Very
When
gentle, slower than usual, and deeper than usual.
when I was first told that, I used to trip over the idea is I know what my lungs are. My air don't go in my lungs. And then I learned the lesson of energy. Air that you're breathing is more than the physical gases that we breathe. It's energy waves. So breathe in not only air, but breathe in the energy waves. Remember, all things are energy, right? Breathe in the energy and fill your heart with that air energy. Now that image I was able to get a hold of, and it changed me by thinking of the air as waves of energy I draw into me.
And remember that your brain cannot distinguish between when you think and reality. So if you imagine that you're breathing through your heart, that's what your brain thinks you're doing. So
Exactly.
breathe through your nose, slowly and gentle, and imagine that you're breathing through your heart. 1, 2, 3. And then you let it go through your nose. 1, 2, 3. Imagine that you're exhaling through your heart. And this is new, because when you're doing this, you're affecting your nervous system, right? So do it slowly and practice, 15 seconds at a time. That's it. And then when you have that, you can add at the end an elevated emotion.
Thank you, Beatrice. I did feel a difference in my body, and I did feel myself being calm. And then I got scared because I was very calm.
Right,
So,
because it's affecting your nervous system. So believe it or not, your nervous system is not used to that calmness, right? So
yeah,
it is
I
what's
got
going
scared.
on. But the
Yeah,
more you caress your nervous system, it starts, this is a way to regulate your nervous system.
okay. Thank you,
Very,
Beatrice.
very cool. Nancy, your name is top of my list. Aila.
Thank you. This felt really good. It's a wonderful technique. I'm gonna try to practice. I missed the third thing you said. First, do the breathing through the heart. Second, focus on something or someone that fills your heart, right?
Right,
And then there's a third step.
it's an elevated emotion, right? Could be gratitude,
Elevated emotion.
emotion.
And then,
In HeartMath terms,
yeah,
emotions are not good or bad, right? We all have emotions,
right.
but there's
Oh
some
yeah, they just,
emotions that deplete us, and some
mm-hmm,
emotions that bring us energy. So the
mm-hmm.
key is these techniques, bring us from a depleted emotion to an energizing emotion.
Yes, you can feel it. That's nice.
So
Was there a third step to that? I just thought I missed.
So you think about it, you feel an elevated emotion, and then you radiate that elevated emotion to you, and to the world, right?
To the world.
You
Oh,
radiate.
okay. That's the part I
I'm going
missed.
to type
Thank
the
you.
technique in the chat, but it's as simple as that.
Thank you.
And the key is to do it frequently through the day, right? 1 or 2 minutes. That's it. And once you get used to it, you're gonna see you get stuck in traffic, and instead of jumping, you start breathing, right? You have a conversation that is not going well, right? Okay, that breathing comes to your mind, right?
Yeah.
So your nervous system start to regulate, and it changes your energy, right?
Mm-hmm. It
And
can
the
really
other thing,
start to become a habit for
and
if you practice it enough. Like it can
exactly,
be,
it just,
yeah,
instead of getting upset, let me do my breathing. You're
yeah.
lying at the store, instead of complaining, so many people here, let me use this for my breath, right?
Or my thing is like I'm a little energizer bunny most of the time, and I can't calm down. It's like, ooh, but it feels really good. So thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
anytime. And I'll type
yeah.
the technique in the chat.
Very
Thank you.
good. Very good. Lauren, thank you for being patient. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, thanks so much. You kind of were already mentioning this at the last part of your answer before, but you mentioned something about how this builds emotional resiliency, and that
Correct.
just really stood out to me. And I was wondering if you just speak more on what you've learned about that in terms of this.
Right, because most of us, right, have a stressful event every day, right? And then we go home and we do yoga, right? We distress, right? Uh, so we're in the cycle of getting stressed and distress. So the idea is to build emotional resilience. So for HeartMath, what that means is that you build, you have the capacity, to handle difficult situations, and also to maintain that resilience. So by doing this, so basically when something happens to you, right, your nervous system gets upset, signal the brain, and the brain hits the amygdala, and that causes a reaction, right? So what this resilient does is you change your baseline, right? So if something, let's say somebody scream at you and you used to get all upset, by building this emotional resilience, you're not gonna, you're gonna need a higher insult to get, that level of upset. You understand what I'm saying? you're going to be able a higher level of emotional resilience to tolerate different situations in your life.
Awesome. Thank you. That is exactly what one of the things that I want. So sounds great.
Right. So it's, it has been, HeartMath has many research papers, that by practicing this technique, right, you not only you get more emotional resilience, but also you become much more intuitive. So those are the many of the side benefits of these techniques.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrice. That was great. Thank you, Lauren. That was good. I have one more hand up. iPhone, I don't know your name. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Hey, Roy, this is Charlie. I've been on your call before. It's been a minute since I was here, but
Well, hello, Charlie.
yeah, hi there. Yeah, Beatrice, excellent explanation. I was just maybe going to ask for a little bit more clarification on that breathing the heart. Would the semantics of that be you would still feel the breath start in your nose and come through, but then redirect to the heart?
No, when you breathe, unless you're breathing for your nose, but you're imagining the air comes through your heart.
As if it was like a sphere outside of the heart and it just sucks in through the chest bones into the heart type
Yeah,
thing.
but very gentle, right? It doesn't have to be, we're all different, right? So what you imagine is different than I imagine. But basically is you imagine that the air is coming through your chest.
Uh-huh.
And it's good to count, because also when you count, you maintain focus. You're gonna see that immediately after you start breathing, your mind goes someplace. So you need to bring it back. So when you count, it helps you to stay focused.
I see. And it is the heart, the physical location of the heart, not the heart chakra. Is that actually like the heart chakra is kind of more in the center?
Yeah, this is your
left?
heart. This is
Just the heart itself.
heart.
Okay.
And the heart chakra and the heart are very close, right?
Very close, yeah.
Yes.
But you could actually direct a little bit to that left, so to speak.
Right. So it's actually and I'll type it with the language that HeartMath uses. They use the middle of your chest.
Middle of the chest. Okay,
Right.
so it could be more the heart chakra in that sense then.
Right, the middle of your chest. But it's it doesn't have to be so precise as long as you focus on the heart.
Okay. Thank you.
Very gracious of you, Patrice. Anybody else have something to chat about? Rosa, you got one more comment? I see your hand up.
Just
Oh,
very quickly, I want to, because when I did this and I was doing this as Beatrice was explaining to other candidates, my what I realized is that my brain became very slow, and then I felt like, what if I'm very slow and I'm very dumb now? I I sort of became very scared because I realized that it felt like my brain was empty, like it's an empty vessel, very light empty vessel. So and I think this is me being in the unknown, because I want to be a peaceful person, but now that I'm peaceful, it's quite uncomfortable, and it makes me feel that like my IQ level dropped because my brain is empty.
One of the things that also the technique does is you become more aware. So it increases awareness. And some people, for example, start practicing and say, oh, I'm so tired. The technique is making me tired. No, they were tired before. Now they realize they're tired, right? So, and maybe this might bring a little bit of your fear. So maybe you had fear before, but you didn't know, right? So just relax and practice, 15 seconds, put your time watch, 30 seconds until your nervous system feels comfortable being relaxed, right? Because you might be in high alert all day and you don't realize it, right?
Yeah.
So
And
just
awareness
be very gentle.
yes, and my awareness has increased, but my brain function got lowered a lot.
Which is good, right? Because your brain is the one that chat, right? Doesn't leave you alone. So that's a good sign. That means you're going into alpha waves, right? It's so good. That's one of the beauties about these techniques, right? It's all benefit, and they can do nothing wrong, right? They're not gonna do any harm.
Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you. This is a very new feeling for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I got another one here. A name, Earth Pulse. I see you were up for a while and you made a chat line, but would you like to speak to Beatrice?
Sure. Let me get back in the room here.
Can Earth Pulse, can I have a real name?
Ed, Olaf,
Olaf? Okay.
hey,
Olaf.
you, whatever you like.
Hi.
Good to meet
Hi.
you, sir. What's on your mind?
Oh, well, years ago we were doing the heart meditation research. We added, besides a high emotion like love, joy, we added uplifting music to that and a visualization of the heart being loved. And all that together really made a difference.
That sounds
Right.
great. Yeah. When I'm doing a meditation that doesn't have, it's not guided like Dr. Joe's, I like to listen to binary beats. Binaural. I'm not, yeah. That's at two tones that are off by just a little bit, and it just really adds to it for me. That's kind of what I do. Okay. Thank you. Adriana, I see your hand up. Would you like
Hi,
to speak to?
everybody.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, visualizations, right? And it may be in different stages of my journey, or like even the season where I am at, or the experience that I am going through in my life. So sometimes I was feeling like, oh, that's in my heart. There's this little fireplace, this fire that I'm just like there watching it, right? Like in the caveman times, like there was just the fire. It was so difficult to build a fire, and I will just somebody has to watch it. So I'm just was there like watching the fire. Another times I will be thinking that just kind of like getting me to get me into the visualization of that how when I breathe, the lungs that are just around the heart, the lungs they expand and they give this little hug to the heart. Right, they're there to protect the heart. And another visualization I get is that well, the skin it's an extension of the lungs, right? I can breathe through the skin as well. And yeah, so honoring that space of the heart as just the skin. So yeah, I think like visualizations, they may change, and being creative and playing with them, it's fun. It's part of the experience, and as well like all those kind of protocol that is a reinforced by the science as well. It's definitely worth to try it. Thank you, Beatrice, and thank you, Ray.
Anytime.
All right, there you go. My mic is back on. I think we're about ready to begin. Everybody say thank you to Beatrice. Wasn't that great? I knew she'd be great. I was so glad I thought of her. She's a sweetheart, and she just gave her heart to you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Look at all the hearts flowing up. Do you see that, Patrice? All the hearts flying
I
up?
know. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And this is also good, to have communication. Like if you're going to start a conversation with somebody, right? It's good to, do some breathing to have heart coherence. So when you're talking with somebody, right, that conversation comes from your heart, not from your head.
Yeah. And this is a good way to actually practice it so it becomes a common thing in your mind and in your body. So you can be just a person of integrity, and you're just always just a heart-based person. You sense it when you meet them, even though you don't know what it is. You ever met somebody who you touch them, you shake their hands, and you just, oh my goodness, who are you? It's just because they live in their heart. They just, that heart energy is just present with them, and we feel it and respond.
Yeah. And an important learning that I have is that, not only when we feel, rush or stress or frustrated, that we don't like it, it's draining our energy. So, and that, and when we feel gratitude and love, it's really increasing our energy. So for me, everybody has a financial advisor, right? Because they want to keep their money, right? Everybody talks about time management, right? But not everybody talks about energy management. So for me, this is key, right? To live a beautiful life, not only that we feel well, but that we have the energy, right, to live a beautiful life. And we do that by, being able to shift from depleting energy emotions to energy, gaining emotions, right? So, and that's why you do that by breathing and by also bringing uh, a good feeling to your heart, and also radiating that feeling to the world.
Very, very nice. Thank you, Patrice. All right, I was right to have her on. I mean, just that was one of my best ideas this week, was to invite her on tonight.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it.
All right, so let's get back onto the chapter. Wow, that was great. Thank you, Patrice. Okay. Yeah, that was. I'll be keeping that little sweetheart chat in my mind all next week. Okay. We left off on page 158, the heart bridge. The point of the heart bridge is that it talks about the heart is the intersection of the lower three energy survival centers and the upper three energies of your spirit. And the heart is the intersection, the intermediary of the two. It changes your lower energies into higher energies, changes your higher energies into your physical energies. It has a busy job. It works every moment of your existence. And it's an actual intersection. I'm trying to think of the word transforming, but I can't think of the word. From this creative state of wholeness and oneness, magic begins to happen in your life because you're no longer creating from duality or separation. You're no longer waiting for something outside of you to provide relief from the internal feeling of lack, emptiness, and separation. Instead, you are becoming more familiar with your new ideal self and creating a new experience of yourself. If you keep activating your heart center properly enough times during the creative process each day, in time, you will feel more like your future has already happened. That's just what Patrice is saying. Do this regularly. This isn't a half an hour meditation she's talking about. Practice just, if you got a couple minutes, practice drawing it in and tuning into the feel of your heart. And over time, it will be normal. Over time, it will be familiar. Over time, your intuitiveness, your sensitiveness to the field. How many times have you heard Dr. Joe say, feel the space? Over time, this one little exercise could be the doorway for you to understand what he means when he says that. The next little subject talks about resilience. The heart and the brain have more nerve connections than any other system in the body. There's a two-way connection. And most of that is from the heart to the brain, not the brain to the heart. Anybody else surprised by that when they first learned it? I thought all the activity was here and that drove it down. Not this. The brain of the body is the heart. Now, the cortex is the mind of your senses. It learns about all the senses, your eyes, your hearing, your taste, your environment. And it records it and remembers it, and it does a good job. But what all the news of your body, the brain of that is your heart. Many people, because they live in states of chronic stress. This is one of those cases when I read this and went, oh, he's talking about me. Many people, I'm on the bottom of 160, because they live in states of chronic stress, don't even realize they are living under stress until an event such as a heart attack occurs. For me, my heart attack was a declaration that I had phase 4 melanoma and I had a few years to live. It makes sense then that if the heart is beating incoherently for extended periods of time, not working in balance and order, sooner or later, your body's going to fail. That's the system that we have. We've been led to believe that the brain reigns over our biology. While this is partly true, the heart is the autorhythmic organ. Did you know? Well, I sort of knew when I was first learning it, that the heart started beating before the brain, but the heart started beating as much as 2 weeks before there was even a brain as the fetus grows in the mother. The heart begins the process of life, not the brain. And they talk about some rather brutal rituals where they would cut the heart out of a living person and it would continue to beat. Some doctors have in their transplants, they take a very damaged person and they take their heart out and put it in a certain salt bath and they keep the heart beating all by itself. It's just in a jar going, work, work, work. You know, it don't make that sound. Excuse me. My wife makes fun of me because I make hand signals and funny noises. I'm kind of a funny person to talk to around the house sometimes because I'm making goofy signs and squeaking and well, anyway. Sorry about that. Well, and so the heart has ability to live on its own for a while. But the important point that Patrice brought up is that of heart rate variability. Every emotion, moment by moment, changes the variability of our hearts. Now, we all have talked about blood pressure, and we've all talked about your heartbeat count. You know, high blood pressure has 170 points and higher. Healthy is under 130. You know, and these are the counts. Boom, 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 boom. Well, in between each of those counts is a variability, and that the counts are not fixed. The separation changes all the time, continuously. This is what it's saying. Every time you have a thought, an emotion, a change of processing in your head, that variability changes. Your count might stay the same. You got 125 hearts per minute. Fine. That stays approximately the same. But the message is hidden in the variability between those heartbeats. FM radio is a little bit like this. Frequency modulated. The separation between the beats varies. It's frequency modulated. And what's interesting is that having a little bit of frequency modulation is healthy. As the typical person gets older, their heart seems to solidify. I don't know if that's a good word. The variability fades and the beats get very fixed. That is a sign of illness, not health. It's a good thing that our heart responds. If you have the book in front of you, you can turn to page 163 and see how variant heart rhythm patterns can be. There's a pattern there. It's very, very irregular. The beat count can be regular as a clock, but the variability changes with every passing thought. That's how your body communicates. I think that was interesting. The benefits of heart coherence. Now we're talking about the mind-heart connection. When we choose to cultivate and experience elevated emotions, and the coherent signal of those elevated emotions reaches our brain, if the amplitude of the signal is high enough, chemicals equal to those feelings and emotions are released into the body. You can think of thought and be bored and nothing happens. There's no emotion to it. If you think a thought and there's something stirs in you because you have such an emotion, a high frequency emotion of love, compassion, joy, gratitude, the body releases chemicals and you express it down to the DNA. That's just something that blew me away when I learned. We call this a feeling. Instead of drawing from an invisible field of energy around your body to transform energy into chemistry, now you are adding to the expanding field. You are choosing it. That's something I want you to realize, is that you have the ability to choose this. You don't need some guru sitting on a pillow waving incense over you. You don't need a holy man with a robe sprinkling water or oil on your forehead. You can do this. You are the divine expression. You are the eternal energy being. It's up to you. You already are everything you need to do this. The heart is an energy expander. As this energy goes in, the heart amplifies it out. Among HMI's most significant findings is that what we feel on a minute-to-minute basis, second-to-second basis, influences the heart, and that is our feelings. See, we can't live, we don't live moment to moment without it influencing us on a very deep level. You know, you can't just, well, this is nothing. There's nothing that's nothing in life. It's all dynamic continuously. Using an electroencephalograph, scientists at HMI laboratories discovered that when the heart goes into coherence, the brain waves entrain with the heart rhythm at a frequency of 0.1. That is far below what you can hear. I think the lowest a human can hear is in like 10 hertz or something. So this is 1/100th of the hertz that you can hear. I brought up binaural beats a moment ago, and the trick is to get two frequencies that are different by less than what you hear, so that they can affect your brain and body in hidden ways. They're out there. If you're not familiar with binaural beats, there's some pretty interesting stuff about them. It points to the fact that when we focus our attention on our hearts and emotions, The heart beating acts as an amplifier. This increases the synchronization between our heart and our brain and creates coherence, not only in the physical organs, but also in the electromagnetic field surrounding your body. That's on page 166. You actually change the electromagnetic field of your body when you get this, because your coherence gets in. Your heart is an energy amplifier. That energy amplifier multiplies the magnetic field that the magnetic force of the heart pump does, and it's a measurable field that the scientists have proven increases when you get this right. I think that's so cool. This is real science. This isn't woo-woo meditation stuff. This is real stuff. You can affect your body. It's really cool. It's really worth learning how to do. What all this boils down to is that the quality of our heart's rhythm has consequences for our overall health. I'm on page 167. If the heart beats in harmonious rhythms, its efficiency reduces stress on the other systems of the body, maximizes our energy, and creates states whereby we thrive mentally, emotionally, and physically. We actually can change our health by breath and by heart coherence. It's solid science. I love that. One of the things that attracted me to Dr. Joe's work is that it wasn't just woo-woo. It wasn't just sitting down and breathing and feeling good. This is solid proof in science. On page 168, the more addicted we become to these three states, stress, first three centers, body, place, and environment, body, environment, and emotions, the less likely we are to open our hearts and go within. When we're addicted to our survival consciousness, we have walls up in our thinking, in our mind, in our consciousness to going into the field. We have to start learning how to let go of that. If we want to make that journey into that eighth center, we've got to learn to go empty hands. It's a skill. Skills take practice. Practice takes knowledge. Enter Dr. Joe's work. I'm on page 170. This means that if your heart center is open, it's keeping your brain's survival centers in check. It's possible then that the more the heart center you are, the less likely you will react to stressors. It's like what Patrice was talking about. You do this and do this until it becomes a reaction, a resilience in you, so that when stressors come, you just kind of put it away. You're driving in traffic and the traffic gets crazy and somebody does something dangerous right in front of you. You don't lose it. You just go, okay, you missed me. And that was my go-to. Just said, okay, you missed me this time. And I just I quit competing. I quit being bothered by it. I just kind of went, okay, I'm fine. So if you're summoning the feeling of your future by creating elevated state, your brain is beginning to lay a neural network for your future emotions in the present. See, this stuff starts actually rewiring your brain. Not only are you changing your emotions, you're changing your genetic expression. I didn't say genetics, your genetic expression, and you're actually rewiring your brain. That is so cool to me that this is not just feel-good meditation, but physiological. Really. Also, I'm on page 170, also noteworthy is that the nerves facilitating this communication enable the heart to sense, remember, self-regulate, and make decisions about cardiac control independent of the nervous system. Did you know the heart did all that stuff? I didn't before I started doing this work. On this next section, page 171, I got notes all down the side of my page here. This one's titled Living Heart Centered. Every thought you think produces corresponding chemistry equal to that thought, which in turn creates an emotion. Every thought you think, moment by moment throughout your day, is producing chemistry in your body. Every chemistry you produce causes a response to the expressions of your DNA. Every expression of your DNA tells you whether you're building health or you're running scared and trying to keep survival on. You don't keep survival on and build health at the same time. We also know that if they live in the feeling of fear or lack, but try to think they're abundant, they can't produce a measure of abundance because what you feel rules the day in your life. I'm abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, and in you, you're afraid. What you feel in you rules. That's why the practice in meditation. That's why you release that past, because the past is controlling your life and your health. As you sit and you first relax and get empty hands, now you can call your past to you and you can love that past. Bring it into your heart and love it. It's you. You're not loving a stranger. You're loving you. Remember, it's called the past self, present self, future self. So once you free your past self from the pain that it's carried for so many years, now that future self will love you too, and you all get present. You can all love yourself, and all of you can receive that new healing remissions that your DNA is releasing now. Page 171. That's because the body believes that the emotion you are embracing is coming from the experience in your environment. Now, when you think of your future self and you start creating that feeling of what it would be like if I really was that, your magnetic heart radiates that new energy and that draws it to you. I think that is amazing. By intentionally choosing to feel the elevated emotion of the heart rather than waiting for something outside of you to elicit these emotions, you become who you are truly meant to be. You become the creator of your life. You already are the creator of your life, but now you become the conscious, creative, deliberate chooser of your life instead of having your life chosen by the society you find yourself in. Your life expression has been chosen for you because you didn't know how to choose it yourself, just by default. I hope, this is on page 172, I hope that with enough practice, our students can replace old mental scripts of feeling unworthy, fearful, and insecure with more elevated states of being and fall deeply in love with their lives. You've heard me say it. Love yourself first, most, and always love yourself until you are a fountain pouring out about you. That's where we're going with this. And your heart-mind coherence will connect, and your heart magnetic force will swell, and life about you will love you in return. When this feedback loop between the heart and the mind occur, you are in an entirely new state of being, the consciousness of the unlimited mind and the energy of profound love and gratitude. Yeah, he is not exaggerating. The repetition of this process is what it means to recondition your body to a new mind. We did a meditation last week called Reconditioning the Body to a New Mind, and it had those 20 words. Let me read this statement again. The repetition of this process is the true meaning of that name. There's a couple pages here where he talks about what coherence looks like on encephalographs and things like that. I'm not going to go into that. We've seen those pictures before where the brain waves are all incoherent and then they line up and they start going together and the energy just multiplies off the chart. He's documented it again and again and again. It's no longer a question of if. It's a statement. That's what happens when you get coherent and your mind just tunes into that cosmic energy. I'm on the last paragraph, page 178. Eventually, when you come to know what it feels like in your body to experience these elevated emotions, you can practice throughout your day with your eyes open. You'll learn more about how to do it in the following chapters. You might even set a reminder on your phone for 4 times a day. And when it goes off, take a minute or two and feel those elevated emotions. That's right out of what Patrice told us. Just take a couple minutes, tune in, and remember and just love yourself for just a moment. Remember, this is not you. This expression, this physical expression is not you. Oh, my nose is itching, excuse me. This physical expression is not you. You are the energy. You are the consciousness driving the energy into this physical body. Feel that energy swell in you when you just move into that field. Move that field and let your heart swell in the knowing love that you're expressing through you. Just do it a few times a day. Pretty soon, that will become so familiar. Every time you get a chance to just take a breath, you'll feel your heart grow in love. That is the end of heart intelligence. The most intelligent thing you can do for your love, for your heart, is to learn to love. Thank you. Let's have a little discussion about what we just covered. Patrice just really got us good in understanding of the HeartMath Institute and heart coherence. This is a little bit more of the work end, a little bit more of the science end. Any comments or anything? Really? Well, we had some interesting conversations, and I just so appreciated Patrice. She was such a gentle spirit talking about that. I just really enjoyed it, Patrice. May you prosper greatly in your endeavors with
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everyone.
HeartMath.
Enjoy too.
Yeah, yeah. I can see people wanting to listen to you. That was really really special. Froza, I see your hand again.
Ray, so I want to clarify. The heart is magnetic and the brain is electric.
Yes. Well,
And then,
let's make sure you understand that this isn't a figure of speech. The brain is a massive neural electric network. All these neurons run by energy waves, electric energy waves. The heart, I used to think the heart was a pump that squeezed, relax. Actually, it's a spiral thing. When people who have learned that they can open the heart and unwrap it like a roll. And so the heart, when the heart squeezes, the blood goes around in circles a few times and then pushes out. What is it pushing? It's pushing a ferrite fluid called blood. Remember all that iron in the blood? That's ferrite. And when you do that through a core, you create a magnetic field. This is physics, magnetic physics. So the heart is a magnetic generator that pulses. Boom, boom. There we go with my hands and my sound effect. Roll, roll. And the brain is just a light bulb. You know, when people get ideas, they get this light bulb over the head. Well, that's more graphic than just cartoon. So the electric magnetic system, and that's why the expression, the body is electromagnetic organism.
so and then Joe Dispenza talks about the thoughts you think. So we have to be more intentional with the thoughts we think, and we have to be more in our heart to allow. So, so the mind is like an order taker, and then the heart is. Can you clarify that, Ray? What does the heart do then? Because okay, I'll be more mindful about what I think.
Okay. Your brain is all about your five senses. It records what you see, what you hear, what you learn. It records your experiences of your senses. It's a big memory tool, and it records what you value. What you don't value, it just pushes aside. You've had things happen and somebody's, what about that? And you go, I don't know, I forgot about it. I don't care. You didn't value it, so you didn't remember it. Somebody does something traumatic to you, and you go, you just told your mind, your brain, that was important, record it by going, that what you said, that's important. And so you just embedded a memory that it will replay at other times when something triggers an associated memory. Your heart is about your body. Your heart remembers your body chemistry. Your body, the feelings, the chemistry of your body is the domain of your heart. And so when something triggers a chemical reaction in your body, the heart goes, I remember what that is. And it sends signals up to the brain that says, do you remember this? And so the brain remembers stuff just because the body reacted. You can be just having a happy day and something triggers a body memory and off you go. And you go, where'd that come from? Well, it came from a body memory. I thought that was really weird. And so when you're cleaning yourself up with all these memories, not only do you have to devalue these traumas, but you have to re-educate your body memory. And your body memory is longer and harder to clean than your mind memory. You can tell your mind, stop it, stop it, stop it, and it will get the idea and let go. Your body, not so much. You have to teach your body to be clean. Just like you taught your body to have harmful memories, you have to teach your body to have blessed memories. It doesn't forget very easily. And thus, the lessons of the heart-mind coherence. Because when you're doing that, you're teaching them both together. I am loved. I am released. I am free. I am whole. And you do that together when you breathe in life and you love and you're teaching your body this new event. And your body will come back. Yeah, but what about? Yeah, but we're doing this now, and we're doing this now, and we're doing this now. And you have to teach your body this new event. Slowly. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes these changes can be pretty abrupt.
Thank you,
But
Ray. Thank you for, thank you. I
okay,
really appreciate this. And
you're
that's
welcome.
why I think sometimes therapy does not work because they are trying to make sense in your mind. And and things make sense in your mind, but then you're like, but then your body, it's still in the same state.
Yes, very good.
Thank you.
And to get the body out of that state, just take repetition. Just like if you are learning a musical instrument, you can know the answer, but the body hasn't learned it. The body learns it by repetition.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Sharon, thank you for raising your hand.
There we go.
Ah, very good.
Okay. Yeah, I have a quick question. It's more clarification because I always think of the heart as electric. And I think of the whole body as electric, actually.
Well, you're not wrong about that.
Okay. Okay. Because we were talking about how the heart was magnetic.
Yes,
And I was
and that's correct too. It reminds me of that scene in The Fiddler on the Roof. It says, you're correct. You're correct. You're correct too. You're all correct.
okay. Okay. That I just wanted clarification on that. Thank you.
Yes, I have an expression that I use to drive home in me that I am not this. And you've heard me say it, and you've given me an opportunity to say it again. I am. I am an energy being. I am an electric energy being. I am an luminous electric energy being. I am an eternal, luminous, electric energy being. I am an eternal, divine, luminous electrical energy. I am a son of the Father and heir to the throne and inheritor of the infinite potential. I am. And I'm not saying it out. I'm telling my body, I am. Shouting down my body's survival mind to tell them, I am energy. Hear me.
So that brings up another thought. So we're telling our brain, like we're cleaning out and letting go, and we're going with our brain and telling that, and then we're going with our body. So I think of myself as mind and body. So who or what is telling the brain and the body?
Ooh,
Or
that's good. That is good. Where does the choice begin?
yeah.
As a young man, it was my survival mind that says, I choose, I choose, I choose. As I matured, it was my consciousness, my mindset, this upper thing that told my body what to do. Now that I've had a bit of an awakening, I am beyond energy. I am not an energy being. I am. Remember, Dr. Joe says, go to that place where you are nobody, no place, no time. To be
Mhm.
that, nobody means I am not this. No place means I have no dimensions. No time means that I am beyond energy, because energy frequency can be timed. I am beyond even energy. I am consciousness, expressing myself as energy, expressing myself in this body. That is where the choosing begins. People have talked to me about, I don't know what I want. I've been in this hole for so long, I don't even know what I want. And I said, I can relate to that. I was in the hole of a deadly cancer for years. I was. And I started wondering, how do I choose out of this darkness? And in me rose an instruction. You find your desire, your heart's desire. How do I find my heart's desire? He says. Then we had an interesting discussion with Desi just a minute ago. Scripture has some interesting points of truth and light. Scripture says, I give you the desires of your heart. It doesn't say, I give you what you want. It says, I give you the desire. So when your heart wants and you can't find your heart's desire, go to the source of your true desire. Not, I want a blue car instead of a red car. That's not it. What is your heart's cry? Tune in to that infinite divine place that you try to go to, you work toward in that nobody, no place, no time. And you say, show me me. Tell me me. Show me. Tell me. It's been my experience that once you tune in, you are always, always, always being heard. Don't ever doubt that. You are always being heard, but you're not listening. You are not, we are not listening. We are so taught to project. We go in and we wait and we listen. Remember, one of the big things Dr. Joe talks about is gratitude. What makes gratitude so special? Gratitude is all about receiving. When your heart goes up in gratitude, it's a receiving energy. You go up into that place and you wait with gratitude and you listen. I like to use the word wonder, WONDER. I wonder is WA. I wonder is like a question, an empty question. What is my desire? What is it that would make me get up in the morning and sing like I get to do this today? And you rest. In that, it's been my experience when I've talked to others who have followed my lead on this, is that for me too, is that you get miscellaneous things in your head and you got to go, no, that doesn't touch me. That doesn't touch me. That doesn't touch me. Just because it's shown to you doesn't mean it's right. It just means, do you really want it or will you take anything? When you get the one that's right for you, your heart will leap. At least that's been the experience of me and some of the people I talk to. So it's just, yeah, it's just like what you said, where I get this, and all of a sudden, what? I can do that? And the spirit laughs and goes, yeah, you can do this. You mean I can really do that? Yeah, the kingdom will laugh at your surprise about what is available and what you were called to be. So that's where your first heart's desire come from. And you put your little symbol, like Dr. Joe talks about, and you start calling that into this by learning to love your future self into being. And it's a learning, it's a choosing, it's an evolution. Usually it's an evolution where you change and you draw it to you. That is where your first, the core, the seed of your heart's desire comes from. And from there, everything else follows. Every little choice, every little offense you feel when you didn't choose accordingly, oh man, look what I did. I just kind of messed it up. And then I got to go back and figure out, yeah, I do that. That's when I can talk about it. Yeah, I have days when I just like, my desire just seems so far off. It's like, who cares? Nobody cares. And then I wake up and I'm in love with it again, and I do everything in my power to get back in line with my heart's desire. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Well, it's been a pretty nice conversation tonight. Really, really nice. Nice. I'm going to end the recording and then talk a little bit more.